It's now time for Party Chat Sports.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Gill, Dillon Schroeder, Drew Nelson, Cam without the cam on because he's a fraud, just like the Vikings in this draft. Speaking of which, that's what we're talking about. Not just the Vikings in particular, but the NFL draft was this past weekend, so there's a lot of things to discuss. Those teams that did well, those teams that didn't, fits that we liked individually, like players that we liked being drafted by certain teams. It was a long weekend. It was our entire last couple months led up to this point. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and now it's gone. And we have nothing else to look forward to. But we still have this episode tonight. Guys, how are we feeling?
Yeah, let me just address the fans really quick. You're the worst type of people in this world. We have our top two TikToks of my misery. We will get Cam back when I'm not hated on. I don't feel like the worst person. Yeah, if you want to see me cry, I'll cry on screen. It's okay. It's all right. Like if that's what the people want, I will put tears on the screen.
That's what they want. That's what they want.
So you don't deserve Cam. I don't like you guys anymore.
You don't have to have that for me.
I'm the number one hater.
No, it's okay.
Are you sure?
I think you're the number one
Can you
hated.
use sour cream and Cholula?
Hey, Drew, how about you mute your mic?
Why are
you're
you
gonna- if
turn?
you're
Why
gonna
are
be
you turning your
talking
head like this?
Because
about-
you're
You're sideways, bro. You're sideways this whole time. Yeah. Yeah.
Better?
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're getting
Fans.
goofed on.
you're done.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it. That's all I had to say. But it was also an awful draft. Like worst draft of all time.
Thanks.
Let's
Maybe not
get
the
into
worst,
that one, actually.
But
No, there
yeah.
was definitely worse in this year. But, Cam, you're already on a little bit of roll there. Let's keep it going with the Vikings.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't think Wesley actually left the building. I think he's been an advisor the whole time. Terrible draft. I think we took the 60th ranked player at 18. I saw something where it was like the 150th player at 60, and that is generous. It was an awful draft, terrible. Like we could have had a fantastic team, taken some great players. It was awful. I thoroughly disenjoyed every single part of the draft. Dillon and Drew, while we were playing the show, heard me punch holes into my wall during the second round.
I didn't hear that.
Terrible
But
draft.
I knew you were upset.
I threw the mic off, and I started throwing the pillow against the wall. So I didn't punch holes in the wall because that would be costly.
Yeah,
would be bad.
your final four
but
players.
exaggeration.
The final four players drafted had big board ranks of 335, 304, 311, and unranked. Those were the final
Yeah.
four Vikings on the consensus big board.
Yes,
So-
we did not follow the big board whatsoever. We apparently went with what we felt was right, and everything that we went with was wrong. Every single draft pick that they decided to do was wrong. It was the worst. It might be the worst draft of all time.
It's not.
It's back to the Mike Zimmer days.
Maybe for the
It was
Vikings.
not a great draft.
It was not a good draft. I'm
wasn't
looking at
great.
the picks right now. Caleb Banks, Jake Galladay, or Galday, Dominique Orange, Yeah. Max Bredston. They have him listed as a tight end, but he's really a fullback.
Bredston might be the best draft pick of that class, and I hate to admit that.
He has the worst big board rank. He was 335th, and you took him in the fifth.
But positional value for the Vikings, he's probably number one.
Tight
They
end
like their fullbacks.
3
CJ Ham
is
leaving.
positional value.
He's a fullback.
Okay,
I think he's saying like more likely to start.
sure,
He's a fullback.
sure.
Charles Demings in round 5 is fine.
If you get the ceiling of Caleb Banks, it turns out much better than it looks on paper.
Yes.
If
I
you
would
get
agree
the
with that.
floor of Caleb Banks, it's awful. It's terrible.
If you get the floor of Caleb Banks, then
If we even get
Fire-
the middle
fire
of
everybody.
Caleb Banks,
Everybody might be fired to begin with.
Pepsi Zero.
Kevin O'Connell is about to make other coaches get fired.
Kevin
Kevin
O'Connell.
O'Connell is not going to be a Viking next year.
No. Kevin O'Connell, welcome to New York. Make your pick on who you want as quarterback next year.
man, I don't know about that. I think we should relax a little bit.
It's possible.
I mean,
Might be possible.
it's not
Can I
impossible.
offer you, Cam, one Mike Tomlin a year from now?
Potentially come back.
Like Tomlin's about to be the
Alright.
Patriots head coach. What do you mean?
I don't think so. I think he hates the
Why?
Patriots.
Mike Verbo just let them to the
No,
Super Bowl.
no, that was
What's
a
going
rumor.
on?
He, for some
I don't think we need to
reason,
go there.
I mean, I don't know why Vrabel would leave.
Typical Ohio State, troubles.
I just kind of was wondering why he would leave. He just went to the Super Bowl.
You know who else I
don't think
think
it has anything to
was
do with
a
on the field.
terrible draft class was the Jaguars.
they're another one that I was looking at. I listen to Connor Rogers a lot. He's with NBC. He does NFL
I
stock
like the
exchange.
Pregnon, though. Pregnon was good.
Pregnon was nice. Rogers does that show though with Trevor Sikkema, and he was saying that they had like 3 players that were like barely top 600 on the big board that they drafted, and he
Yep.
went on a tangent, and it makes a lot of sense. Why do coaches and general managers think it's okay to miss the combine? I don't think Gladstone went to the combine. He just thinks he's smarter and better than everybody else. And that very quickly, he's had back-to-back questionable drafts so far. He gave up a haul for Travis Hunter, who's about to be a corner only, not a 2-time player or both sides player. You gave up this year's first-round draft pick to move up for Travis
Fleeced.
Hunter. That was a fleece by the Browns. And your first pick in this year's draft at pick 56 was Borkersher, the tight end out of Texas A&M. Now, great value with Pregnon, where they got him. But the rest of the
Orchestra
draft,
was 207 on the big board at 56.
it's
It's pretty bad.
he does whatever he wants. That's fine, but it might cost him his job sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the Jags are terrible. And like once you get into the later rounds, you can start reaching on guys if you think they're, worth taking a shot on. But in the top, 3 rounds or so, you shouldn't be outside of within about plus or minus 20 spots on the big board if you can help it. Ideally, I
Yeah.
mean, as
Yeah.
you start getting into the later rounds, that gap widens. But yeah, that's pretty bad. And that leads into another bad. The 49ers. Bad.
Mm-hmm.
49ers.
Those
I
are
like
very
Stribling,
bad
though.
draft classes.
Stribling was getting some hate. I
You
like,
like
Stribling.
Stribling at pick number 33.
I think he was going to go on day 2. So they didn't pick again until
Okay,
70.
do you like him at 33?
Given other wide
when
receivers
was it?
on the board,
When was the next pick?
maybe 70.
670.
It's a big gap.
Yeah, they weren't going to get him at 70. I think they just wanted their guy.
Mhm.
I've heard the case of if you think you have a guy, you like a guy, and you want to get your guy, you draft them at that spot no matter what.
The
I
issue
get that, but
is you took him over Boston, and you took him over Bernard. You may or may not throw Bernard in there, but you took him over Boston.
I can see him over
which is
Bernard
the big.
and Boston. Boston is the only questionable one.
if you're looking at the big board, though, the
Drew,
only one
cannot
that's
hear you.
close
They got
with
Mike
the 49ers.
Evans, and who else do they have on contract?
They have
Pearsall?
Jawan Jennings on contract.
Pearsall.
Yep, Pearsall.
No, Jawan
They
Jennings
do not have
is
Jennings
a free
on
agent.
contract. He is going to Minnesota.
He's
Oh, yeah,
visiting.
that's right. He's
so
on a
he's
visit.
traveling.
He's going to Minnesota.
Ayuk
Technically,
is
yeah.
MIA.
Ayuk is never going to play in the NFL again.
He's AWOL.
They needed a wide receiver. That was their need for sure.
It was just, and the 49ers seem to do this a lot, where they don't have the wide receiver evaluation right in the draft. It feels like they're missing on.
They don't have any of their evaluations right. They haven't had a good class in years.
I like Stribling. Okay.
They haven't had a good
Their
class
last
in
good
years.
class might have been the one with Nick Bosa. That's their last good class, just because you had Nick Bosa.
Let's look up
that's not homerism at all.
That's a great defensive end right there.
49ers
Philly, it's not homer.
draft classes. I
Unless
want to see
it is.
some of their draft
I mean,
classes.
Kalen Black, that's a reach.
Yeah, Kalen Black was picked about 4 rounds too soon, maybe 3.
Looking at like some of these now, granted, I'm looking at a different set of rankings than your guys' big board that you guys are looking at, but Romello Height is the closest one, like the pick to the big board ranking that I'm seeing. He was picked 70,
You're looking
and
at CBS.
on this big board he was picked 92. Kalen Black was picked 90 on the big board. He was 204. I guess
Yeah,
actually
this big
no.
board is crazy. I don't know what I'm the big board I'm looking at is the CBS rankings. They did all the rankings and they had Keelan Black at 248. Stribling was 48. They took him at 33. Romello Height was 69. They took him at 70. So
I guess
everyone's
Prysock-
got their own consensus big board.
wanna
Prysock was
see, like-
92. They took him at 139. That's a good pick.
that's the best value. I'm going to pull up. John Lynch does not draft well though.
It's the
Feels
best
like.
predicted value. We have no idea what the values are.
You want to know what I think was even worse and maybe the worst draft in the class of all of them? The Rams. Their entire haul. Ty Simpson at 13. Max Clare, who was a reach in the second round.
He was a reach.
Keegan
I don't
Trost.
know about that.
He's a reach, Cam. Take your OSU hat
I
off,
don't know
man.
if he's a reach.
162 on the big board. He was taken at 61.
A big
Reach.
board of people who don't play football. I don't want to hear
Keegan
it.
So now we're throwing big board out the window. Okay. All right, whatever.
I've never believed in the big board because there's like 8 of them.
Okay, sure. Keegan Trost, tackle in the 3rd round. CJ Daniels in the 6th, and Tim Keenan in the 7th. I mean,
I like Tim Keenan, but
okay, but that's a 7th round guy. He was 257 on the board. I mean, like that haul is terrible. It's entirely dependent on Ty Simpson, and if you just drafted a 1st round bust at quarterback, it's the worst draft class in the league. It's terrible.
I don't know what intel they were getting to where they thought like, oh, we have to take Ty Simpson here at 13. We can't trade down. Like, if they would have traded down, or if we were looking at
Sean
it this
McVay
way,
was pissed, by the way.
and
Yeah.
I like all the PR
He
coming
was.
out afterwards, like they're trying to like water down the flame of like how pissed off he is. It's like, no, he was just irritated. He had to show face for Stafford. Everything that the Rams PR is doing right now, they're working overtime, trying to make it seem like Sean McVay isn't actually this pissed off, but he is so upset by this.
Yeah, no, enjoy your night. That's what he said.
Yeah, good for him, I guess. None of us thought he was worthy of being a 1st round draft pick.
Dan Orlovsky was doing victory laps, even though he was still not taken ahead of Mendoza. So I don't really know what he was going on about. but
because everybody told him he was not a first round draft pick, and I think the Rams
Time
were
will
the
tell.
only team that were actually going to take him in the first round. That's the thing. I don't think the Cardinals, I don't think the Jets, I don't think anybody was even coming up. Like, all the other insiders, everybody else that had a feel for this draft felt, no, Ty Simpson was slipping out of the first round. The Rams decided, you know what, we have to get our guy. And I think, too, if the Rams would have acquired McDuffie with the 13th overall pick and then picked Simpson with that 29th overall pick, it'd look a little bit better. But it's a top 15 pick on a quarterback who, best case scenario, is not going to see the field for 2-3 years.
Yeah, it's brutal. But I do think that the Cardinals probably would have moved back in, especially with how many teams traded out of the bottom of the first. Like the Niners moved out completely. I think the Bills moved out completely. And a lot of other teams were moving around. They could have jumped back in, especially because we saw him take Carson Beck pretty early. So I think they would have taken him.
I think the Cardinals would have been fine holding out the 34, depending on how things played out. I don't know, though.
Possibly.
Yeah, but the pivot to
Either way,
Carson Beck, at pick 65.
It was the first pick of the third round, I think.
Yeah, I don't love it. That was
Speaking of Love and the
spicy for
Cardinals,
Carson Beck.
Speaking of which, Love going to the Cardinals at 3.
Talented pick. What's he gonna do though? You know,
It's another
behind the line.
it's
I
Gen
don't
T
know.
2.0.
I don't think the line's as bad as what the Raiders was.
No, but
I'm just never on board of a bad team picking a running back top 5
And they
to
picked
top 10.
offensive lineman at 34.
They did get Basantis. They did.
Here's the other
for
thing.
sure.
Love now has the most guaranteed money out of any running back in the league. The Cardinals are paying $60 million in guaranteed money to running backs on their entire roster.
That's
Between
crazy.
Love, Algier, and James Conner. It's around $60 million or so in guaranteed money to running backs.
Funny part is that's like barely any to the rest of them. That's just all Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're paying a decent chunk to Algier, but still.
Algier
It's
got.
mostly
I know,
Love.
but 50 is Love. Love has like 50 million guaranteed. If you already said that already.
I don't remember how much
is nuts.
Love has.
Yeah,
By the time
50,
the
I
Cards are good, if they're ever good, there'll be past Love's career as a Cardinal. I just don't ever agree with running back that early unless you're a good team with 2 first-round picks and you're in a position to take a running back like the Lions.
And it made sense, like, going 10 years ago when the Cowboys did it with
Lions,
Zeke.
they just lost their whole.
Well, when they took
go ahead.
Gibbs.
When they took Gibbs in the first
And
round,
that
they
was
were in a
criticized.
position to do so.
That was criticized.
Yeah.
I think
It was.
I think we criticized that. But
Well, we
when
said
the
it was okay because they had the two first round picks. That's when it's okay for a first round running back if you got two
Right.
first round
I
picks
think-
or if you're picking in the back half.
I think what I was bothered by at that point was they used it on running back and linebacker, where they're 2 first round picks.
Yeah.
So that was just like the both positions you don't touch. Might as well just throw a
The
safety in there.
linebacker that they declined their 5th-year option on today.
Yeah, because
that's
it's
kind of hilarious.
I
He
wouldn't
didn't pan out.
I mean, they might still extend him.
Well, it did pan out, but his 5th-year
It's not
option
why
is
they-
20. Yeah, it's because his 5th-year option would be $22 million, which would make him the highest paid off-ball linebacker in the entire league by a wide margin.
He's still not that good though.
No, he is.
That's what I'm saying.
No, he is.
He's not that.
No, he
No,
is.
he's not that
He
good.
is. You're a Viking.
You're just-
hater.
He really is not that good.
He's pretty good.
I would
He got
take
beat up by a 7th rounder.
What?
Malcolm
I don't know
Rodriguez.
what that means.
Anzalone.
Jack
Those are the
Campbell
two best
earned a
linebackers.
90.2 PFF
Anzalone's
grade,
not on the
which
team
was
anymore.
2nd out of all linebackers in the NFL. 110 tackles, 17 pressures.
And they didn't
Okay.
even make the playoffs.
So now you're just hating on the Lions as a whole, or where's your agenda here?
that's-
Where's the
well,
goalposts?
the point of this
given.
argument
That's
is-
100% given.
Where's the goalposts at?
or wherever
I mean, he wasn't that great, is what I'm saying.
He had the second overall grade among all linebackers. Second.
That's a good grade for people who don't play football.
When
All
is
right,
this
it's just-
argument?
That
started?
argument
Where-
is maybe the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I don't know where
Just
that
adding
came
that-
from.
I'm just
and
adding
we're
that
just
in
going to
there.
move on.
Dan
We're just gonna move
Orlovsky
on.
was saying Mendoza didn't play in any big games, so I guess we should have listened to that. Since
I feel
he played.
like
Yeah,
the
because
ones
he
that
played.
give
He played football. Yeah, he's a
He knows
genius.
better.
I mean,
feel like the ones that
football
give the
players
dumbest
can't be
takes-
dumb.
I think the ones that give the dumbest takes are the ones
Well-
that play football, like Ryan Clark.
Yeah, Ryan Clark's an idiot. I love him, but he
I mean,
says some obnoxious stuff.
There's definitely some different stuff that comes with that. With Ryan Clark. But
I think anybody is capable of presenting a bonehead opinion.
Anybody's
your
capable
background.
of presenting a really good opinion, regardless of if you play football or not. But what I was about to say was the running back in the top 5 made sense like 10 years or so ago when the Cowboys did it, because the only reason they had a top pick was because Romo was hurt. So
Yeah,
they
true.
were in a spot to where they could take a running back early, and the
And they
rest
had the
of
best
team was
offensive
great.
line in football.
Yeah, like that made sense.
Yeah.
But just about anybody else, no. You should
Yeah,
not
like if the Chiefs
back
had
that early.
not signed Kenneth Walker and put themselves in a position to trade up for Love, that would have been genius.
Yes,
You know. But here we are.
that was not the case. I was
Why
not
don't
a
we?
fan of
Oh, okay. One more, and then we
Raiders-
should probably go to teams we liked. Just been hating this whole time.
I was not a fan of the Raiders draft because I didn't think they did
think
a
you're crazy.
great job of surrounding Mendoza. That was my thing. Like I thought they should have done better job of putting pieces around Mendoza. No, I did like
They got Brock
Stoops.
Bowers
That's all he needs, I
Ours is
guess.
good.
and Ashton Genty.
I don't know. I thought they should have added more offensive weapons because if you look at their wide receivers, it ain't that great. Their wide receiver room is a bunch of buns.
Yeah,
So
I
I
would have
wanted
liked
to see
to
more
see a
help.
wide receiver.
When you draft a quarterback first overall, that was my biggest complaint with the Raiders was they didn't do enough in this draft to surround Mendoza. But
Drafted 3 corners though. One's a safety.
one of the players they did get though,
I do like Stoops.
solid.
I do like Stoops.
Stukes is good.
Mendoza
You drafted a
obviously,
franchise
Stoops, good.
quarterback. Mike
Jermon
Washington.
McCoy taking a chance in the 4th round, good. Mike Washington, good, even though he's a backup.
And I think I had an issue with them taking Washington just because I wanted to see him elsewhere, like actually get a chance to.
Yeah, but I
Not
think
Yeah.
if you have him as your 1-2 punch now, you have a thunder and a lightning thing going on. That can be really good. If you have the right system, you can have 2 running backs each get 1,000
Washington
yards.
is going to get all.
It's
Washington's going to be Charbonnet, so Genty's going to get them to the goal line, and then Washington's going to get all the touchdowns.
probably.
And Clint
You know
could
who
be
did
at
have a
my
good
dynasty
draft
team,
class,
man.
though?
Who did have a good draft class?
The Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think
was
they
all
had
right.
a
I agree
very.
with you, Cam.
What do you mean it was all right? They had a great
Here
draft
we go,
class.
just
Great.
hating on division
No.
opponents again.
Caden Proctor,
Okay.
I thought was a reach
Okay.
at 12.
It was.
Are you, can I explain the Miami Dolphins draft class real quick?
Go on.
Okay, Caden Proctor might have been a reach, but then they got Chris Johnson, which we all believed was the cornerback 2 of the
Yeah,
draft
dog.
class. And
I
then
don't
they
know if we had him
got
at 2, but
Jacob Rodriguez early in the 2nd round, and then
dog.
adding on day 3 Michael Taffy, who's very, very underrated safety. He's still good safety. He just doesn't have the measurables. That's a great draft class for the
Don't
Miami
forget
give
Kyle
Dolphins.
Lewis.
I
Cam,
was
don't
gonna say
forget Kyle Lewis.
Kyle Lewis
Lewis.
was a steal.
They had a fantastic draft class, improving
forget
their
Chris Bell.
defense. I'm just looking at the top 3, but yeah, Chris Bell too. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
whoever that guy is.
I'm adding to your point here.
No, keep going. Do you wanna take over?
No,
Like,
that was,
genuinely?
that was pretty much it. No, that was it.
Okay. They improved and got day 1 starters. They probably got 3 or 4 day 1 starters
Yeah.
Great draft class.
Mm.
And that's what should define a good draft class to a bad draft class. Doesn't matter if you're reaching for, like I said earlier, you get the guy that you believe is going to make an impact from the start. It does not matter if he's a reach or if he's a day 2 instead of a day 3.
Kind of
Caden
matters.
Proctor is going to be a starter. He's fine. And
Doesn't
then
mean
they
he's gonna
got
be a
3
good
more
starter.
starters. Well, a lot of that is going to be coaching, honestly.
And talent.
That's what we're forgetting. He's a big guy. I do think he has talent. He's fine.
He is talented. It was just rich. If they would have taken him at 25,
If they would have taken
we're not upset.
Proctor at 27, then that would have been
Yeah.
better. Like, who is the corner? I think, did they pass on? Who did they pass on at 12? Was it Downs? Did they trade down?
No, they traded
No.
down from 11 to 12. They
Downs
swapped
was-
with Dallas.
Hell yeah.
11.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but they traded back for that. They let
whatever.
Dallas move up. So they traded away from Downs,
I
which
think that's
was a
a good
choice.
pivot. I think that's a good pivot to Drew.
It is a good pivot because you know how had a good draft? The Dallas
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
They did, man. They did.
Dallas Cowboys had a good draft.
Sure.
Caleb Downs.
Is this like the
obviously.
first one in your lifetime or what?
As soon as
Second?
no, there's been
This
plenty
is
of good
his
drafts.
actual Super Bowl, the one that he's actually going to see.
Be
Hey,
careful,
man, we all have more Super Bowls than you do.
Vikings fan. I know you ain't throwing
I don't
stones
want to
in your
hear
glass
somebody
house.
that won it in Nam. I don't want to hear it. Dillon is the
You
only
know what
one
I'm
that can
gonna say?
talk.
It doesn't matter.
No one in the
Your
history of the
opinion is
world has
irrelevant.
seen the Vikings
It
win
does matter.
a Super Bowl.
It doesn't.
It does matter.
No one in all eternity
And you know
has seen
who's
the
the
Vikings
only
win a Super
person
Bowl.
in this group chat that has actually seen the Super Bowl? Dillon.
Who?
Me.
Dillon.
I watch the Super Bowl every year, actually. Just my team
I've
hasn't
seen
been in it when
3.
I've watched it.
Your
I've
team
seen
has been
3.
the worst team out of everybody in this chat.
Oh, no.
I don't know about
They just
that.
still
Worst
have one more.
possible team. You've had no happiness in the NFL.
Hold
I don't
on.
want to hear it. Well, you've had a little bit of happiness.
He's gonna bring out the AFC Championship.
Anyways, Cowboys drafted
You wanna know
Caleb
what
Downs.
this is?
That alone.
This is proof of a
Makes it
Jets
the best.
Super Bowl. Okay?
Oh, got him.
This is all the scores from the Jets. Now, this is something that you don't have with the Vikings because this is non-existent.
We were
the
talking
Vikings.
about the Cowboys. Just to get us back on
Cowboys
track
drafted
here.
Caleb Downs. I told y'all he was going to fall. I told you the whole time. And he did.
You got
he fell
so
to
lucky.
11. Moved up 2 picks.
So lucky.
Moved up 1 pick with using 2 picks in the 5th. And then screwed the Steelers over later and got 2 fourths back. So just an
I don't think you
absolute-
screwed us over. I think you blessed us.
Absolute
in
fleece
disguise.
job. Malachi Lawrence, I thought it was a little bit rich for me at the spot, but it's fine. You got killed downs, so whatever. Jayshon Barham, I don't like it if he plays edge. I like it more if he plays linebacker.
But you got killed down, so it's whatever.
But we got killed down, so it's whatever. Drew Shelton, swing tackle, but we got killed down, so it's whatever. Devin Moore, big corner. You know, had some injury history, but we have killed down, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
LT Overton,
Say it one more
Osa
time.
Digizua replacement. You know, not super productive, but you know, big defensive tackle. So you know, we got killed down, so it's whatever.
Where's my gun?
Anthony Smith, this guy knows Brady Nowak. Shout out Brady Nowak.
Hey, listener to the
We got
pod.
killed down, so it's whatever.
Yeah, look, there's a rope right there. I wonder if that ceiling could hold. Yeah, I think it could.
Hey, Cam, one more thing though. We got killed down.
Yeah.
So, Drew, at what
Cam,
point
you want to
during
buy
the
his
first...
jersey for Drew for his birthday? Want to pitch in?
Yeah, I might.
Actually,
because
Going in
last
with for the
jersey-
blue.
It
Wedding
would
gift.
work because the last jersey that I bought, that guy was gone in, 3 years?
You got G
For
for
real
sure.
though, for real though, what color Downs jersey you getting? Gotta go with the blue, right? I think.
That blue's gonna be
Let's
really
see.
nice.
I've got a white Dak, blue Tyrant. No, not Tyrant. Zach Martin and Larry Allen. So I think I'm due for another white.
Oh, okay. All right.
At what point during those first 11 or 10 picks were you really like clinching, like, ooh, we might, this might be the Caleb down spot. This might be the Caleb down spot.
I like obviously the Giants and the Dolphins. Based on who was left, I wasn't worried about the Commanders. I wasn't worried about the Chiefs. Obviously, after they moved up. So
Sonny
once it got to the
Styles-
Giants' second pick, I was like, if it gets past the Giants, we're golden.
I think I
And
looked
I had
at
a
the
feeling
Cam.
that they
Bengals
weren't going to go double
pissed.
defense.
Are the Bengals
So-
pissed right now that they traded away from 10, knowing that
If they
Downs would have
wanted
been there?
Downs, they wouldn't have traded their first round pick.
It depends on what they
Well, they
value.
probably
more.
wanted him, but that was, that's in the opportunity cost.
It is.
And when you
Dexter
make the
Lawrence or
pick.
Caleb
So-
Downs is kind of what that was the decision. And one thing, the NFL just does not appreciate the safety position nearly enough, or else Caleb Downs wouldn't have made it that far. And the Bengals probably would have rathered a player like Dexter
I mean, I
Lawrence
think they
over Downs
value it
anyways.
right around the pick that he went. And
Right.
that's what we've seen from the top safeties. This is where they're valued. Right
Yes.
here.
I think, well, what was I just about to say? Oh, I looked at Cam when the Giants were back on the clock, and I'm like, the Giants are about to get 2 Buckeyes here. And when that didn't happen, I'm like, all right, Drew.
I honestly,
It's
like,
yours.
in the moment, when the Giants were on the clock, I knew they were not going defense again. So they already had Arvell Reese fall into their laps. Probably weren't expecting that to happen. And you can go defense obviously twice. It would have been probably smart to do so. But with a young quarterback, you needed to help. You need to start helping him out a lot. So,
Yeah.
and as we talked about a little bit in when we did our last mock, Maui Noah kind of falling down there to 10 was like, well, we thought about him earlier, so now here we are again. He's still here. Just do it.
I
And
think
they need offensive line help. Their offensive line is pretty
with the
bad.
Browns taking Spencer Fano, it definitely was like, all right, Maui knows a giant.
I think they knew the run for the top guys was coming. And you see that even when we talk about the Dolphins with Proctor. Like, that's why they moved up a little bit sooner, because of the tackles. I mean, like, why they started going earlier. Because you don't want to be stuck, waiting around and not get one.
Yep.
So you gotta get.
Which is why I think the Steelers getting Ianachor.
Yeah.
I do think that's a great pick.
Yeah. So the way I slept on it and overall here is, and I'll talk about the Steelers more later. If they went wide receiver tackle instead of tackle wide receiver, yeah, they would have got Lemon, but who's the tackle you would have got at 49 or whatever they moved up to for Bernard? There was nobody left. So to get the tackle at 21 and then get the wide receiver in the second round of Bernard, I don't think the gap from Lemon to Bernard is as big as the gap is from tackle to tackle at that point. Like, they would have had to take like a Markel Ball or Jennings Dunker, who they ended up getting at 96 anyways. Like, the linemen on the board in the second round were thin from a tackle perspective. So I think it was a blessing in disguise, and we'll be just fine with Bernard and Ianachor. So
It was more so the process of the Steelers thinking.
yeah, the
they had
process is disgusting, and I don't know why you're calling people before you're on the clock. It turns out they did it the year before with Derek Harmon as well. They called him when there was 3 minutes on the clock for the pick before, and Omar Khan's talking to him like, hang with us, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. And then when the pick was finally in, then he said, all right, you're a Steeler. Why are we doing that? I don't.
Daniel Jeremiah was saying that that's pretty common, but that's more so common later in the draft. I don't know how common that is.
Yeah, like day
first round or
3.
so.
Like, yeah. So I hope we learned our lesson there. But I'll talk about the Steelers more in another video. I don't think they're big winners or super losers. I think they are middle of the pack. They're like a B minus or a C plus. Like, they're fine.
What do we think of the Titans taking Carnell Tate at 4?
Loved it. way better than running back. You needed a wide receiver. I don't care which one it was. Love it. I think it's an awesome pick.
I was more so surprised because I know Salah's infatuation with edge rushers. I thought it was going to go. It wasn't going to be love. It was going to be defense. But when Carnell Tate was a pick, I mean, that's who I wanted the Titans to take back in January.
He was our mock 1.0. Was Carnell Tate at 4?
That sounds right. And I think actually with this entire draft process, everybody was talking about Arvell Reese being an edge. I think the NFL told us that they don't actually see him as an edge. Salah passed on him. The Jets passed on him. The Cardinals passed on him. And the Giants came out and said that he is going to be
pick number 5.
He went 5, but what did the Giants say? He's a middle linebacker.
He's a linebacker.
And if he's a middle linebacker, why was he the pick over Sonny Styles? That's the one that keeps going back and forth in my mind. Like, if these teams view Arvell Reese as an off-ball linebacker and don't really think...
Risk
now,
reward.
granted, in 2 years, she could be an more edge rusher, but if you're viewing him as an off-ball linebacker, I would have taken Sonny Styles over Arvell Reese.
More versatility.
It's risk versus reward.
The youth does help. I just think it was interesting that everybody was, this entire draft process, people were talking about Arvell Reese being an edge. The first 4 picks, if Reese was really an edge, I think he would have gone 2, possibly 3, or Salah would have loved him at 4. And then we wouldn't be sitting here with the Giants talking about him as a linebacker.
Maybe.
Yeah, but linebackers don't go in the top 5, so I think he is still viewed as part edge.
We'll see. And then I also liked Micah Parsons saying, like, yeah, I was an off-ball linebacker, but you shouldn't be taking off-ball linebackers that early.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I think he will be just fine.
It'll be fun. I think the Giants had a good draft overall, though.
Yeah.
It was pretty good overall.
I think we need to rip off the Band-Aid and just talk about the Browns and how they killed it.
Again,
The Browns had a good
another
draft.
great draft class by the Browns. Back-to-back.
They kept trading down. They kept getting more value, more assets, and then they still walked away with 4 first-rounders from this class.
And Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. I mean, holy crap, dude. I mean, let's just the haul here. Spencer Fano in the first, great lineman prospect. They turn around at 24, get Concepcion. You want to talk about the drops or whatever, that's fine, but it's a talented wide receiver on a team that needed one. They come back at pick 39 and get Denzel Boston at 39, who could have gone in the 20s. And then they come back at 58. 58, they get Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Are you kidding me? Steal.
I was so upset with that.
All 4 of those guys are first-round talents and grades, and they got 2 of them in the second. And then,
I do believe that they could have gotten better than Denzel Boston. I don't know who was on the board, but they already have him.
No.
And his name is Cedric Tillman.
No. Cedric
What?
Tillman is
You just said Cedric Tillman is Denzel Boston?
Cedric Tillman is a fantastic
what you
wide
just
receiver.
said?
I don't hear it. This is the
You are going
breakout
to
year.
hear it.
Holy smokes. Anyways. And then they also got Taylon Green in the 6, just for fun. I mean, they got Terrell Pryor sitting right there.
Facts.
Whether he works out at quarterback or not, he'll probably be a 1,000-yard receiver too in about 4 years, maybe 5. So
I did like the Browns' emphasis. What sucked for the Browns last year? Their offense. What was the emphasis this year? The offense. They added those 2 good wide receivers, Fano, but also continued to add offensive line depth and Parker Brailsford and Austin Barber. Like, they continued to build out the offensive line, added weapons, and you're sitting there at 24. It's like, all right, which wide receiver are they going to take? Who knew that they were going to just be able to take the other one they wanted?
yeah, they could have got Boston at 24, and yeah, that's crazy.
Too bad they
had 10 picks and 8 were offense. So
You think they needed a fixer offense?
Same thing on the other side of the ball with the Cowboys. Basically, the whole thing is defense.
I can tell you right now, Stefanski was slamming on whatever desk he's at right now.
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
I don't mind Atlanta's
He's probably pissed.
draft, actually.
Yeah, maybe. I
Because
don't know if
okay.
he cares.
I like
Yeah,
Zachary Branch.
I was going to talk
5'10".
about Atlanta because they took two of like certified my guys, Zachariah Branch and Harold Perkins. They got both of them. Great picks, each of them. I don't know why Harold Perkins fell, but he's going to be awesome for them.
He went to LSU.
And yeah, and Zachariah Branch I've already talked at length. I think he's awesome. So
I think
Avion
Avion
Terrell's
Terrell.
pretty good pick.
and
at
Avion
48.
Terrell, the bloodline. When they
pretty cool.
announced it and said from the bloodline, Avion Terrell, I thought that was pretty cool.
Acknowledge. The Ravens having another good draft.
Always
Vega.
not surprised.
Zion Young.
Zion Young will be a bust. Ravens can't draft edge rushers, but
We'll see.
Lane Surratt, good. Leon, obviously good. Adam Randall in the 5th, good. He's going to be that new kind of change of pace instead of like Justice Hill going out there for
Take
King
a punter
Henry.
for shits and giggles, too, because why
Sure.
not?
Sure.
I
Rayshon
do like
Benny
the Ravens.
in the 7th.
Oh, that's where he went. I was thinking about that the other
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, he was 80th on this big board, and he went at 250 to the Ravens.
Yeah, that's an absolute steal.
Speaking of steel, not
They did take
necessarily.
a random tight end in the 4th, but it's fine.
There was a weird run on tight ends. Like the
They took-
Jaguars
yes,
started that
They took
run
two
of
tight ends.
Well, they had to replace both Likely and Kohler.
Kohler, I guess.
I thought
Yeah.
one of my favorite picks in this draft was Caden McDonald going to the Texans. And everything about that, like first of all, the emotion from Caden McDonald, him staying, getting that moment with the commissioner, and then going down and celebrating with the fans was awesome. What's going to be even more awesome is how he opens up lanes for Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter moving forward. Him going to the Texans should have been illegal. How the other 31 teams let that happen, that's going to haunt them forever. And if CJ Stroud gets one brain cell working, the Texans are going to be dangerous. If
And
he
they also
Pretty
got
good.
Kamari Ramsey and Aiden Fisher in the 7th, who I thought was pretty decent for being low down there. Yeah, they had
took Marlon
I
Klein,
liked him as
though.
well.
Yeah,
Oh, I
but
like
in
Marlon
the,
Klein.
but in the 2nd though.
He's good.
No
He's
one's
good.
running the ball in the Texans.
I don't know if many
It's gonna
people
be
are going to
almost-
pass the ball on the Texans.
They got to replace an old Dalton Schultz. And they have another tight end too, is whatever.
Is he old already? I feel like he just got here.
Dalton
Did they still have that Jordan guy?
What do you used to be on the Cowboys?
I
That
don't
wasn't that
know.
long ago.
Pretty long ago. How
Dalton
long has
Schultz
Coach
is
Ferguson been around?
29, bro. He's 29. Don't put us.
He's over the hill.
That's too close
He's
to
over
us,
the hill.
man.
He's on the way down.
That's we ain't that far away. Okay,
We ain't playing in the NFL either.
that's true.
Kalen Rutledge wasn't a bad pick. I mean, he might have gone a little bit early, but I get the vision there.
It was early, but
bruising guard.
a spot of need, so it's
Yeah.
okay. But it
I mean,
was
what have we been complaining about for the Texans for the last 2
pretty early.
years? Them getting rid of all these offensive linemen and not really getting anybody. So they took an offensive lineman, and then, of course, Caden McDonald. I mean, if you would have just flipped those two picks, they take Caden McDonald and then Rutledge, nobody's bitching about this Texans draft class at all.
probably true. Yeah, it's probably true. Yeah.
I also like the Colts. I mean, the Colts didn't have a pick until pick 53, and then they took C.J. Allen and A.J. Halsey are their first two picks on defense. So I didn't think that was a bad run for them.
Ted Hurst is your Mike Evans replacement in Tampa Bay is not bad.
And they
Also,
got Bain.
Bain, that got
Yeah,
emotion out of
pissed off
Todd Bolt.
Bane. They got a pissed off Bane, which is probably even better.
Todd Bolt showed emotion when that pick was
That's
made.
why Lemon's not a Steeler, by the way. They tried to trade up to 15, but they weren't going to move away from Bane.
Yeah. I think the Jets taking Kenyon Sadiq also at 16 messed up a lot of drafts. I think the Panthers were expecting to be able to take him. And they got Monroe Freeling, which I don't think is terrible.
It's fine.
I
It's fine.
think that messed up.
I'm
with
calling
the
him
Vikings.
Monroe, dude. I'm not calling him no Monroe.
It feels so weird. Every time I hear Monroe, I
He's also a white guy, so it's definitely Monroe, not Monroe.
kept hearing Monroe this entire draft process.
I think people don't know how to say Monroe.
Probably not.
It's
I
possible.
didn't grow up with a Monroe down the street.
Up the road. But I also think it messed up what the Vikings were planning on doing. Like, I almost felt like Caleb Banks maybe, oh shit.
I don't think
what
it
do we
did.
do?
I think the Vikings were just planning to be terrible.
The Vikings had no idea what they were doing.
The pick that
Probably should have hired a
we and
GM,
everyone else
man.
thought they were going to make was available to them at 18, and that's
I was
what
getting
was so
I was getting
surprising.
clowned on for saying the Vikings should have hired a GM, and apparently I'm a genius for common sense thinking.
They should have just let the head coach and the defensive coordinator draft, instead of Ross or whatever his fucking name is, Rob. Sorry, my bad.
Language.
Jeez. Instead, you let Thieneman fall to the Bears. Well, the other 20 teams did as
Rob,
well.
Ross, whatever your name is, count your days. Count
I
your
liked
freaking
a
days,
couple
dude.
of picks that the Lions made. If you take
let-
out their Michigan bias of Derek Moore and Jimmy Roller, Blake Miller fills a position of need for them. Keith
And
Abney
he
in
feels
the
like a
fifth.
lion.
Yeah,
Like Blake Miller
yeah.
feels he's going to be a good. They want to move Penei Sewell over to left tackle. I think Blake Miller's going to slide right in and do
He's a plug and
fine
play
there.
right tackle. You know.
Yep.
Keith Abney in the fifth, great value, and then Kendrick Law in the fifth, as well as a pure Dan Campbell guy, and then Skylar Gill Howard at the sixth I felt like that was cool as well. So
I like anybody with the name Gill.
Yeah.
I also.
Keith Abney's a steal.
I said that.
Yeah. Well, we were even debating. We were in the chat, what's going on with Keith Abney? What team's going to get him? Somebody said that whoever drafts him is going to be very smart. Lions, you are very smart for drafting Keith
I
Abney.
bet Drew said that.
Congrats.
Probably.
The Jets, I'll touch on this. I was fine with the class. I wasn't irritated for the most part. And I'll touch on this a little bit more in a separate video, but I preferred Arvell Reese. I understand why they went David Bailey. I preferred Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I really wanted him. Some of that's biased, but also the Jets need safety. I would prefer to safety. They took D'Angelo Pons. That's cool. You pretty much get Aaron Glenn 2.0. But being able to get Kenyon Sadiq and one of our favorites, Omar Cooper Jr. I mean, Kenyon Sadiq was one of my favorite players in the draft class. If you go back, if you remember our favorite prospects episode, Omar Cooper, I think, was Dillon's in that episode. So we got a couple players that I liked. And the Jets are going to run into an issue that I've never witnessed in my life outside of 2015. How are they going to feed everybody? Because you got Garrett Wilson, you got Breece Hall, you got Kenyon Sadiq, and Omar Cooper. Geno Smith is going to toss the
I
pill.
think that's
Doesn't
a
mean
perfect amount of people.
I think
that's
you
a good
need
number.
to feed somebody instead of
2 wide
getting the number
receivers, a
2
top
pick.
tight end, and a running back. That's all you need.
And you still have Mason Taylor, who I think will be a good compliment. They should
Poor
they have
guy.
good coaching. I know, I feel bad for Mason Taylor. But the way they play, Mason Taylor's going to be more inline. Kenyon is more split or slot tight end, more of a mismatch guy. They have weapons. This is a
Should
great
focus
spot.
on winning games.
No, actually, quite the opposite.
Not
what
this
if
year.
you
they
wa-
shouldn't.
In 2026, lose as many games as you can, baby.
You're not going to
Yeah.
get Dante Moore.
I don't. Give me Arch if he's good. Give me Dante Moore. Give me CJ Carr.
We went
I don't
over
care.
this. There's 10 quarterbacks he can have next
Just
year.
get me one.
As we stand here today. We
might be
lost
9.
one over the weekend. Rest in
Yeah,
peace.
there's -1 from whatever the original number you said.
Hopefully he gets over his addiction.
He might
Probably
be
a couple more that we'll lose up from now until then, but there's going to be 5 or 6 in the first round next
I mean,
year. So.
looking back in the draft, at the start of this year's current draft, I think the top 3 quarterbacks were drafted after the 5th round.
The Jets took
Nope,
Club
but
Nick,
you're close.
Nussmeier.
Drew Aller, 3rd round.
Okay, 4th round, 3rd round, whatever. But
they all lost money. And that was actually the thing that irritated me the most about the Jets draft class was not only did they take Cade Klubnik in the 4th when you probably could have had him in the 5th, maybe the 6th, you'd package 2 4th-round draft picks to move up for him. And one of those 4th-round draft picks went towards Connor Lew, the center, and the Jets could have used that. So you could have had Connor Lew and Cade Klubnik. Instead, you packaged them up. You moved up. I don't know who had the handle on the throttle there.
You might not have had Cade Klubnik, but nonetheless, yeah.
I don't know if
I also don't. Yeah, I don't know that Cade
that
Klubnik's really going to move the needle for the Jets here.
No, but I like 4th-round picks are still when you're trying to build the depth of this team. I'd rather not waste them on a developmental quarterback because the Jets have a lot of backup roles.
He's going to be fun to watch in like week 13. That'll be fun.
Well, unless
And the team.
Dangerous is on the team.
Nah.
that's a Savannah Banana. I don't want to hear
He's not
nothing
playing
about it.
preseason.
Yeah.
He's playing
no.
Savannah Bananas.
Cade Klubnik is your tank commander. He is going to take you to
honestly,
the promised lane.
I'm cool with
That's
that.
kind of a
well,
fun
Gino,
one to watch.
That's Gino. Gino just did it for the Raiders.
Gino did it
Yeah.
for the Raiders, and he helped the Seahawks find their quarterback.
Kenny Pickett took a couple starts there late in the year. I'm just saying, Cade Klubnik's going to be fun to watch for a couple games. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
Tank commander is Gino. Gino's going to be
Yes.
fun because he's going to toss the pill. Doesn't mean the right team's going to always come down with it.
Cade,
But he
you're
will
right. Cade
throw the hell
Klubnik
out
is
of it.
your energy guy coming off the bench late in the season to just sell a few more tickets, I guess.
It's going to be Aaron Glenn just got fired, so we're going to have to make some changes. Cade Klubnik's going to come in, get a start. They'll win a weird game that they shouldn't win. They'll lose the rest of the way, but that one win by Cade Klubnik is going to cost the Jets a franchise quarterback. Like they'll go from Arch Manning to like the 5th guy on their board.
Probably.
Like, quarterback.
Probably.
But if the Cowboys suck or the Packers suck, and if the
Thanks.
Colts suck, which the Colts sucking is not unlikely because
That's the only unlikely, or the only non-unlikely one of the bunch.
Yeah.
You just said.
the Cowboys and Packers, I'm expecting that to be a pick in the 20s. The Colts pick, though, I mean, the
Intense.
Titans are probably going to be better. The Jaguars are going to be better. The Texans, holy
Is that
shit.
4 first-round picks, or do you not have your own? What? Or is
We
that
have
the
our own,
second-round pick?
No, so I keep saying Packers because the Jets pick that they got from Cowboys is the better of the two. So if the Packers pick is better, they get the Packers pick. If the Cowboys pick is better, they get the Cowboys pick.
Better is in a lower number.
Correct.
Okay.
So
The
if
Jets could
Packers
be
are
the
worse,
The Jets could be the greatest controlled Madden user team of all time. With all the first round draft picks they've been getting.
If Chuck had them, it wouldn't matter. They get all the first-round picks anyway.
So
I'll
absolutely
say one thing
hate
on the
watching
quarterback talk. Drew Aller's got me feeling excited. Even if he couldn't ever win a big game in college, last time Mike McCarthy had a toolsy mid-round quarterback, he ended up not being too bad. So I'm kind of feeling okay about it.
Who are you referring to?
Yeah.
Coda.
But Dakota was already developed.
Was he?
I mean, you're not giving Mike McCarthy credit for
I'm pretty sure Garrett drafted Dakota.
Garrett or Jason Garrett did.
But Dak Prescott had his best years like under Mike McCarthy, like 2019.
What year did
2016 he was drafted. He played 3
what
years
year
for
did
Garrett.
Mike McCarthy?
I just told you.
2019 was his first 4,000. He almost actually statistically, his best year was the year before McCarthy. McCarthy became the head coach in 2020, and Dak Prescott had a 4,902-yard season in 2019, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks.
All right, whatever. Okay,
He had
Mike
a
McCarthy's
3,800
developed.
yard.
He's a quarterback guy. That's what they be saying. So if he can do anything with Drew Aller, I'll
I
be
feel like Drew's got
excited.
something to say. It's like he's sitting on his thoughts over there.
Well, too bad he doesn't want to be there.
I don't think
He didn't even want to put on the hat.
I wouldn't say he developed Dak, but he definitely did not help, or did not
And it hurt.
make it worse. He was good. I think Dak enjoyed him mostly. The worst thing Mike did was he fired John Kitna as the quarterback coach after Dak's best season and brought in his own guy, which was a bit of a bummer because we saw a huge improvement with the new quarterback coach. But,
he developed
ended up
Rodgers.
being fine.
That's like his claim to fame. He developed Rodgers. He turned Rodgers from this to.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when you said
Favre?
Dakota and not.
That was
not
just
Aaron.
that was the most recent. That's why I said that. But obviously, his
Gotcha.
claim to fame is
I mean,
Aaron
that
Rodgers.
also could have been Favre. That
I don't
developed
think
him.
Favre was
Is
teaching him.
not the most recent.
Favre was not helping.
I think that's like
Rodgers.
half.
I think Favre
half of
probably helped
Rodgers'
him out a
thing
little
is
bit.
that he didn't help
You
him.
kind of learn from the
Of
quarterback.
the
That's in front of
quarterbacks,
you.
Aller is probably most similar to Favre that McCarthy's ever worked with.
I would
in
not
terms
give
of
Favre any
size
credit for Rodgers.
And in terms of size and arm strength, that's kind of what Aller is kind of like amongst the four.
What do we think of
If
the
you
Chiefs?
want to throw Joe Montana onto that list, which I don't.
That's true. The Chiefs we're trading him for Dillon, and then adding Peter Woods in the back half of the draft or first round.
And R. Mason Thomas.
I think it was stupid trading him for Dillon because you probably could have had him at your own pick.
Probably.
I guess, but what have you been saying about if you like a guy?
They needed him though.
They
They backed themselves
Yeah.
into a corner.
If
But
you
I'm
like a guy, go get him, and it's not a reach, right?
Pun intended.
That's true, but you didn't have to go and get him. You could have
You don't
just
know
had
that.
him. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
but you don't know that for sure. I think it's
No, you
good.
don't. It's all speculation.
Mansour Delane, Peter Woods, R. Mason Thomas, three guys to plug into that defense. And Canada, I don't know how good he is, but he's their fourth pick. Emmett
Slot
Johnson,
guy.
Johnson's
whatever.
good.
Yeah, he's
Johnson's
behind
good.
Kenneth Walker, so just another piece. Nussmeier in the seventh is nothing burger for me. Career backup.
Could be the one of the
It's about to be the.
other than Mendoza, he could be starting week 1. Potentially.
Yes.
Yes, because it depends on.
Probably Justin Fields starting in week 1.
I wouldn't bank on that.
You mean the tight end? Tight end Justin Fields?
I don't
low-key
think
forgot that Justin Fields was on the Chiefs.
I don't think rookie Garrett Nussmeier is 7th round pick is starting week 1 over a veteran quarterback in Justin Fields. I don't think that's happening.
I don't know if it's either of those two quarterbacks that start week 1.
What
Like,
if
I
Justin
feel like
Fields takes the starting job away from Patrick Mahomes?
I feel like the Chiefs are going to get through training camp, realize Mahomes is not as, and they're going to
Mason
add a couple
Rudolph.
veterans.
Mason Rudolph.
Thank you, Phoenix. No, Phoenix agrees with all of us. Fields is starting
Are
week
you
1.
done yet? That's what Phoenix said.
Jordan
Probably
Tyson.
getting there.
Saints.
Awesome.
I thought Saints draft
Awesome.
in general was pretty good. Christian Miller was a guy I liked, being able to add
Right.
him.
We've darn near done all 32 teams at this
I
point.
know.
We
Wait,
said
not
we
even
weren't going to
an
do
hour.
it, but
Yeah, but I mean, we're not even an hour.
200
in.
more picks to go. We're almost done.
I don't think Howie did it again. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. Because I don't think
Mekhi
Mekhi
Lemon's
Lemon.
not going to be good, man, because he works over the middle of the field, and Jalen Hurts can't throw over the middle of the field.
Right. He's
Sure,
not,
not going to work.
He's not a fit in that offense.
And you already got Devontae Smith.
It would have made more sense if they got Denzel Boston instead of
Yeah.
Mekhi Lemon.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trading A.J. Brown.
I don't think you could draft Boston with Lemons on the board.
Well, I think the thinking is you stay
you
put,
can't. You
Lemon's a
just say,
Steeler, and then
"Give
you
me
take
Boston."
Boston.
That's also possible.
Did y'all know AJ Brown's only 6'1"? I thought
No,
for sure
he's
that
not.
dude was like 6'4". But
I thought he was
he's
like
only
6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, he's only 6'1". I learned that over the weekend.
How big's DK?
DK is 6'4".
Is he? See, I thought they were very similar.
Yeah,
They
me too.
play similar.
DK 6'4". Michael Pittman 6'4".
Stowers to the Eagles is pretty unfortunate.
I
that's a
didn't
good
know
pick.
Stowers had the athletic profile of a Brock Bowers. I really didn't. I didn't do any tight end homework, so that when they popped up his graphic, I was like, oh, that is pretty
I
nice.
think
Kenny
the
and
thing with
Sadiq was really
Stowers,
the
though,
only
I
tight
think
end I
he's
know.
the most. Stowers is the most like wide receiver, no blocking tight end.
Over Sadiq?
Yep.
Interesting.
Sadiq will block a little, but I think he had. I'm trying to think.
You know who's really good at blocking? Jeremy Bernard.
Yeah,
Well, he's
whatever.
not good.
That's all.
You have to point out a guy's blocking. Usually not a good wide receiver.
We were talking about blocking. He's a really good wide receiver too, though.
That's the kind
It's
of
a
thing you
weird
say
thing to
about
say as a bet
your
for a wide
fourth round
receiver.
guy that comes out onto the field,
Fourth
lay
round.
down some blocks.
Yeah. If That's my favorite
George
thing is,
Pickens
like, when-
was a really good blocker. Doesn't
Was.
change anything.
I don't know if he was good
Guess
at
what else?
blocking.
He's also
more,
a really good wide receiver.
more than just punching. And
No, George Pickens had a whole highlight tape of just pancakes, dude. Coming out of Georgia, it was awesome.
one of my favorite things, though, just in general, is like, oh well, this receiver, they're not really good at catching, but they're a really good blocker. That dude
Jeremy
just
Bernard
sucks.
is good at catching. Nico
Say
Takes on
they-
Twitter said,
they're not
as long as
they're not good at catching, but they've got really, when they do finally get the ball, they're really good.
yeah, that's not Jeremy Bernard. Though.
why
I
are we
don't know
shitting
where
on
that.
blocking wide receivers right now?
That's
That
great-
Nico
it's
guy,
overrated value.
that Nico guy on Twitter that also does TikToks. He's got like long hair and stuff. Someone asked him, "How do you feel about Jeremy Bernard?" And he was like, "Great if you're okay with back breaking drops late in games." And then someone quote tweeted that he had 2 drops in his entire career.
Oof.
So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I was gonna say something, but I forget. Oh, you're saying a wide receiver is good at blocking is like saying someone's a really good locker room guy. Great
Glue
It
guy.
doesn't mean
great
anything.
culture guy.
Hines
That's-
Ward is really good at blocking.
So we were watching the draft, and we were
And
just
that's
like
why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
That's why.
looking at. We were looking at like all the stuff the NFL Network had like for their characteristics, and they were coming up with some random shit that had nothing to do with football. Like, mom was a yoga instructor. Okay, what's that have to
Noticed
do with
that. That was, yeah, I noticed that. That means he's flexible.
Good footwork.
Does it? He's a lunch pail guy. All right. Is there anything else that we need to add?
I don't think so.
All right. Well,
I got one thing to add.
All right.
Vikings. Worst draft class of all time. Book it.
I don't think so.
probably not.
It might be.
What about when the Saints traded their whole draft class for one guy?
That was pretty bad. Yeah.
You mean the Vikings with Herschel
But-
Walker?
Well, that's not a Saints draft
Oh,
class.
yeah.
We're gonna
That was
be the top 2 top 2 worst draft classes of all time.
For the
I
Saints,
think that's hyperbole.
you can't be for the Saints. You can't be the worst draft class of all time if you don't have any draft picks.
They had one, though. So,
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, we're gonna get a couple more. We'll get some individual off-season recaps for different teams up. I know Dylan's gonna get a Steelers draft recap. I'll probably get a Jets one. We'll see what else we put up on the feed here in the coming weeks. If there's anything you want us to see, this is like the fun period for us where we just have to come up with whatever the hell we want to talk about. So please let us know what you'd like us to see this offseason. We're about 46% of the way through the NFL offseason. So
that's
slowly
it.
but surely. Slowly
Dang.
but surely we will get there. Thanks everybody for joining. Make sure you continue to follow us on Party Chat Sports. We're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're wherever you get your podcasts, anywhere and everywhere. All at Party Chat Sports. Thanks for subscribing. Until next time, peace.
Caleb Downs.
Eat shit.